My family mocked me for I wasn't as successful as my brother. You will always be in second place, Dad said, laughing. I said okay, I'm just kicking him out of my house, and that day. Growing up, I got used to the idea that I would always come second. Second in grades, second in sports, second in accomplishments, and definitely second in my parents' eyes. My older brother, Lester, was the golden child, the successful one, the talented one, the one they bragged about to friends and family. It wasn't just favoritism, it was a whole other level of obsession. Lester could do no wrong. If I got a B on a test, I didn't work hard enough. If he got a B, the teacher must have graded unfairly. When I got a decent job, my father asked why I didn't aim higher. When Lester got a six-figure salary, they practically threw a party. It was exhausting, but after years of it, I just learned to deal with it. Then everything changed. Lester went bankrupt. He lost everything: his fancy apartment, his car, his savings. The same brother they put on a pedestal suddenly had nowhere to go. And guess who took him in? It was me. Not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't just leave him homeless, no matter how much I resented him. For the past 3 months, he had been living in my apartment, sleeping on my couch, eating my food, and doing absolutely nothing to change his situation. He didn't work, didn't contribute, didn't even try. He just sat there, claiming he was depressed and needed time to figure things out. Meanwhile, I paid for everything: rent, bills, groceries, and even loaned him $19,000 for a used car because, he said, people take you more seriously when you have a car. And what did my parents know about any of this? Nothing. Lester made sure they still saw him as their perfect son. He barely called them, always saying he was busy. He made sure they thought he was still doing well, still successful, still the same Lester they adored. And me? I was still the disappointment, the one who never quite measured up. That all changed on Thanksgiving. We were all at my parents' house, the usual family gathering: turkey, mashed potatoes, the works. Lester showed up late, of course, and made an entrance as he always did. He even parked his car right in front of the house for everyone to see, knowing full well that I had paid for it. When we all sat down, the attention, as always, was on him. My mom asked him about work, my dad about his investments, my uncle patted him on the back and said, "Still making big moves, huh, Les?" And he played along. Lied through his teeth. "Yeah, things are going great. Had to downsize a bit for a new investment, but that's all part of the plan. You know how it is, short-term sacrifices for long-term success." I sat there gripping my fork so tightly I thought it might break in half. He wasn't just lying, he was going all out. Then, as if on cue, my dad turned to me. "And you, Kyle? Still at the same job?" I nodded. "Yeah." He grinned and shook his head. "Well, I guess someone has to come in second." The whole table laughed. My mother, my uncle, even my cousin. "And Lester?" He laughed the hardest. I put down my fork. "Okay," I said, standing up. "Then my brother's moving in with you tomorrow." The laughter stopped immediately. For the first time in my life, I had the floor. No one laughed anymore. My dad frowned, my mom blinked like she misheard me, and Lester looked like he just swallowed a fork. "What are you talking about?" my mother asked. I crossed my arms. "I mean, since Lester is so successful, he obviously doesn't need my couch anymore. He can move in with you." Now everyone looked at Lester. His face had gone pale. He let out a short laugh, trying to keep up the act. "Kyle, stop joking around." I wasn't joking. "Oh, I'm not. I think you should know that your number one son has been living with me for the last 4 months. Eating my food, driving a car I paid for with my money because, guess what, Mom? Dad? He's broke. He has nothing." My mother's hand covered her mouth. My dad's expression hardened. My uncle, my aunt, my cousin, they all just stared at Lester. And him? He tried to recover, but he was never as good at thinking on his feet as he liked to think. "That's not true," he scoffed. "You're twisting things." I stepped closer. Am I? Do you have your own place? He remained silent. Do you pay rent? More silence. Do you even buy your own toilet paper? He clenched his jaw, but still nothing. I turned back to my parents. He's been lying to you for months. He's got nothing, but he wanted you to keep thinking he was still on top. And I let him stay with me even though I couldn't stand him. Even though I paid for everything while he sat around feeling too depressed to do anything. I turned back to Lester. And how do you repay me? By sitting here laughing at me with them. No one spoke. You could hear a pin drop. Then my dad, Mr. Lester Can Do No Wrong, looked at him. Is that true? Lester swallowed. Dad, it's complicated. Mom jumped in. But Lester, you told us you were investing. You said it was going well. He sighed and rubbed his face. I needed some time. I wanted to tell you. I laughed. Yeah? When? When my bank account hits zero. My father pushed back his chair and stood up. His expression was unreadable, which was worse than if he had just gotten angry. You're telling me you've been living off your brother like a leech, while letting us believe you're doing just fine? Lester opened his mouth, then shut it. For the first time in his life, he had nothing to say. And then my grandmother, sweet, quiet grandmother, shook her head. Shameful. Lester flinched as if he'd been slapped. I grabbed my jacket. You guys have fun finding out. I'm done. I walked out. I didn't stay a second longer. I thought that was the end of it. I thought I was finally free of it all. Little did I know that later that night, Lester would show up at my door, drunk, angry, and ready to start a war. I didn't go inside right after I left my parents' house. I drove around for a while, letting the cold air clear my head. It should have felt good to finally let it all out, but something still felt heavy in my chest. Maybe because I knew that it wasn't really over. And I was right. When I came home a few hours later, I heard the door unlock. Lester still had a key. I hadn't thought to take it from him before. He walked in, his face tight, his whole body tense, as if he'd been holding back anger all the way home. He slammed the door shut a little too hard and turned to face me. What the hell's wrong with you? I didn't even look up from my beer. Not in the mood, Lester. I barely managed to fix what you did back there. He snapped. Do you even realize what you just pulled? That got my attention. I put my drink down. Fix? He scoffed. Yes, Kyle. You think I was going to let you humiliate me in front of everyone? I told them you were just jealous. That you couldn't stand the fact that I was more successful, so you made up some story to make yourself feel better. I stared at him. You lied again? I had no choice. He shot back. Mom was freaking out, Dad was pissed. I had to say something. I laughed and shook my head. Wow. You really are unbelievable. You didn't have to say anything, he snapped. Everything was fine before you opened your mouth. But no, you had to make it about you. You had to drag me down just because you couldn't stand that they liked me more than you. I clenched my jaw. They didn't like you. They liked the idea of you. And the minute they found out you weren't who they thought you were, they turned on you. They didn't turn on me. He shot back. Because I fixed it. But now I have to deal with Mom breathing down my neck because of you. Right on cue, my phone started ringing. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. A few seconds later it rang again. Lester grinned. Go ahead. Pick it up. I exhaled sharply and answered. What? Her voice was sharp. Why would you lie like that, Kyle? I closed my eyes. There it was. Lie. Yes, lie. Do you know how humiliating that was? Telling everyone that your brother is broke? Saying he lives with you? Why would you do that? I gritted my teeth. Because it's true. Lester already explained everything. She cut in. He told us that you were just upset. That you've always been jealous of him, and that you let your emotions get the best of you. I laughed. Really laughed. You really believe that? Kyle, enough. she snapped. Don't ever do that again. I don't care what problems you have with your brother, but making things up just to embarrass him in front of his family is low. I didn't say anything. I just hung up. Lester grinned. Yeah, that's what I thought. I stood up. Pack your stuff. His smirk faded. What? You're done here, I said. You want to lie to them? Fine. Go live with them. But you're not staying here another night. He let out a short laugh, as if he thought I was bluffing. Come on, Kyle, don't be dramatic, Dash. I'm serious. I grabbed my keys. Oh, and keep the car. That actually caught him off guard. Wait, what? The car, I repeated. I'm selling it. His face fell. You can't do that. I smiled. It's in my name, Lester. You never even transferred the title. That means it's mine. And since I paid for it, I think it's only fair that I get my money back. Now he panicked. Kyle, come on, don't be like this. You can't just take my car. It's not your car, I corrected. It was never yours. I grabbed my phone and started typing out an offer for the car right in front of him. His face twisted in frustration, but he could see I wasn't kidding. He swallowed, then grabbed his duffel bag from the corner. He hesitated for a second, as if waiting for me to take it back. When I didn't, he scoffed and shook his head. You're a real piece of work, you know that? I just held the door open. Goodbye, Lester. And just like that, he was gone. But the fallout was just beginning. For the first time in months, my apartment felt like my own again. No Lester taking up space on my couch, no empty beer bottles he never bothered to clean up, no more excuses about why he still couldn't get a job. I thought it was finally over. Then my phone rang. I looked at the screen. It was my dad. I considered ignoring it, but something told me to answer it. Kyle, he said, his voice tense. We need you to come over. I sighed. Why? A pause. Then, it's about Lester. I should have known. When I got to my parents' house, I could tell something was wrong. My mom was sitting on the couch with her arms crossed, looking irritated and confused. My father stood by the fireplace, rubbing his forehead as if he had a headache. My cousin was there too, sitting quietly in the corner, looking like he was just there for the drama. And Lester? He was slumped in a chair, looking defensive. As soon as I walked in, my mom turned to me. Kyle, your brother says the real reason you kicked him out is because you're in love with his ex-girlfriend. I stopped. What? Lester sat up and nodded like it was a perfectly logical explanation. Yeah. Jenna. You've always had a thing for her. Ever since we got together, you've been jealous. And when we broke up, you saw your chance. That's why you left on Thanksgiving. You just wanted me out of the way. I blinked. Are you actually crazy? My dad exhaled loudly. That's what we're trying to find out. Lester leaned forward. Come on, just admit it. You always wanted what I had: my success, my car, my place in this family, and now you want her too. I laughed. I really laughed. I couldn't help it. I looked at my parents. You can't seriously be listening to this. My mother frowned. I didn't believe him at first. But then I thought, why else would you humiliate him like that in front of the family? I let out a sharp breath. Because he's broke. Because he lived off me for months while he lied to all of you. Lester scoffed. That's what you want them to think. I turned to my father. You don't believe that, do you? My dad crossed his arms. I think it's a ridiculous excuse. But if it's not true, then why is Lester sitting here, unemployed, with no money, no car, and no plan? Finally they got it. I looked at Lester. Tell them where your car is. He clenched his jaw. I turned to my dad. I sold it. My dad frowned. You weren't bluffing? Nope. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and held up the screen. Right there. $19,000. The car's gone. Lester sank deeper into his chair. My mom stared at him. So, it was true? He remained silent. My father sighed and rubbed his temple. Jesus Christ, Lester. My cousin shook his head. Damn, man. You really thought that excuse was going to work? Lester gave him a look, but said nothing. My dad looked at me. What do you think we should do? I shrugged. Not my problem. Lester jumped up. Kyle, come on. No. I cut him off. You lied to her again. You tried to turn them against me like you always do. But guess what? It didn't work this time. Now you can clean up your own mess. I turned to leave, but my father spoke again. Kyle. I looked back at him. He sighed. I know we haven't been fair to you. And maybe if we had been, we wouldn't be in this situation. That was the closest he came to an apology. I nodded. Yeah. Maybe. Then I walked out, leaving Lester to face the truth for the first time in his life. But somehow he still wasn't done trying to drag me down with him. 12 days later, it was my mom's birthday. I wasn't planning on going. After everything that happened, I figured it was best to keep my distance. But when she called and personally invited me, I could tell something was different. We want you to come, she said. Everyone's going to be there. There was something in her tone. Something I hadn't heard before. I wasn't sure what it was, but curiosity got the better of me. So I went. When I walked in, the house was packed. Relatives, family, friends, even some neighbors. My uncle was pouring drinks, my aunt was setting out food, and my dad was in the middle of a loud conversation with some of the cousins. It felt like every other family gathering, except for the fact that, for once, the attention wasn't on me. It was on Lester. And not in a good way. I spotted him near the kitchen, looking like he wanted to disappear. His smile was tight, his posture stiff, and he kept glancing at the door like he was debating making a run for it. That's when I knew something was about to go down. I grabbed a drink and leaned against the wall, waiting. Then it started. My dad clapped a hand on Lester's shoulder. So, Lester, how's work going? Lester tensed. Just figuring things out. Oh yeah? My uncle chimed in. Any big investments lately? Lester forced a laugh. I've got some things in the works. That's when my grandma, sweet, old, never missed a church service grandma, shook her head and said, He's unemployed. The room fell silent. Then my cousin snorted. And then, just like that, the laughter started. It spread like wildfire. My uncle was laughing, my aunt was laughing, even the neighbors were chuckling. My dad wiped a fake tear from his eye. Oh, that's rich. Lester unemployed? No, that can't be right. Not our Lester. Oh, but it is right, my mom said, sipping her wine. Not only is he unemployed, but he's also living with us. The room exploded with laughter again. My other cousin leaned over to my uncle. Hey, maybe we should get him an application for McDonald's. Oh, come on, my dad said, still laughing. That's too generous. Maybe a paper route first. More laughter. I just stood there, sipping my drink, soaking it all in. For 25 years, Lester was the perfect son. The one they bragged about, the one they adored, the one I could never measure up to. And now? Now they were tearing him apart in front of everyone. Sweet. Beautiful. Revenge. Lester clenched his jaw, gripping his drink like he wanted to throw it. All right, very funny. Oh no, let's keep going. My uncle grinned. What about that car you had? The one you showed off last time? What happened to that? I smiled. I knew what was coming. My mom sighed dramatically. Oh, you mean the car Kyle bought him? The one that got sold because it wasn't actually his? The laughter doubled. My aunt was practically in tears. Lester looked like he was about to burst a blood vessel. Mom! Oh, I just think it's funny, she said, smirking. We spent years telling Kyle he'd always be second place. And now it turns out the golden boy was just a fraud. I took another sip of my drink. This This was better than any revenge I could have planned. For once, I didn't have to defend myself. I didn't have to prove anything. They had finally seen Lester for what he really was. And the best part? I didn't have to lift a finger. I just stood there and enjoyed the show. Lester never recovered from that night. After the party, he never showed his face at family gatherings. Not that anyone missed him. The Golden Boy act was over, and with nothing to brag about, my parents' patience was wearing thin. He had no choice but to get a job. And ironically, the McDonald's joke wasn't a joke anymore. Yep. Lester now works at McDonald's. The same guy who used to walk around in $1,000 suits bragging about his deals is now wearing a name tag and asking people if they want their fries supersized. And the best part? My parents hate it. At first, they tried to tell themselves it was temporary. He just needs time to figure things out, my mother said. It's a stepping stone, my father added. But months went by and nothing changed. He's still living in their house, still eating their food, still refusing to face the fact that this is his life now. And they hate it. They fight constantly. My mother complains about the grocery bill. My dad tells him to get it together. My grandmother won't even look at him. The same parents who used to adore him now see him as a burden. And me? Well, for the first time in my life, they actually treat me like a human being. They ask me how my work is going. They invite me to dinner without making snide comments. My dad even called me the other day just to chat, which was the strangest thing of all. Do I forgive them? No. Not really. They're narcissists. They didn't suddenly have a change of heart, they just lost their favorite child and needed someone to fill the space. But it is what it is. I'll take the courtesy, but I'll never forget how they treated me for 25 years. Lester used to be the one who looked down on me. Now he's the disappointment in the family. And for the first time in my life, I'm totally okay with coming in second.